Hello friends, today we're going to be discussing aging Pu-erh at home. Because if you think that buying a Pu-erh cake and simply putting it on a shelf is sufficient for effective aging, you're probably wrong unless you live in a pretty specific environment. So in order to understand the aging process, let's look into two different types of Pu-erh. There is shan Pu-erh or raw Pu-erh, and there is a shou Pu-erh or ripe Pu-erh, cooked Pu-erh. One looks more like green tea, especially at the beginning of its aging, and the other one looks more like black tea. So in shan Pu-erh, the processing of shan Pu-erh at first is quite similar to green tea. However, in shan Pu-erh during shaching, where the tea is subjected to high temperature in order to slow down or halt oxidation, the oxidation in shan Pu-erh is still active, it's just slowed down by shaching. And during the aging of Pu-erh tea, catechins in tea that are responsible for astringency, they are slowly transformed into other types of flavonoids, theaflavins and theabrownins, and those are much sweeter. At first, for this is responsible oxygen, and then also it's microbial activity in tea that changes those catechins. And also another thing that happens is that aromatic compounds, they are tied to sugars in tea, and as tea aging, these aromatic compounds, they get released and the tea becomes more aromatic. And another thing that is happening is that the walls, the cell walls of the leaves, they get thinner and they break down little by little, and you get fuller body of the tea under the same condition that you would be brewing young shan Pu-erh. You would be getting fuller body and more stable finish of the tea. And in shou Pu-erh undergoes a special processing called wei, where it's subjected to high humidity and high temperatures, and all these processes that I just discussed for shan Pu-erh, that shan Pu-erh overgoes over a period of time of 20, 25, 30 years. All of this is happening much, much quicker under the microbial activity. And this process happened within like a month period, more or less. So for shou Pu-erh during aging, what happens is that the tea is degassing, and it finds its equilibrium, it just settles down. Also, even though most of the aging happens during this wei, some secondary, some slower activity, some slower microbial activity still going on. So for both teas, in order for these processes to happen, for this microbial activity and for this molecular activity to happen, they need some level of humidity, because water is the medium in which this process happen. So if the climate is too dry or the temperature is too low, then aging process slows down significantly. But if the humidity is too high or the temperature is too high, then we are risking to get our tea moldy. So there are two types of storage. there is a dry storage and there is wet storage. In wet storage, humidity is much higher, the temperature is much higher. In dry storage, it's somewhat lower, but not too low. So basically what we need is to set humidity at around I would say 70% humidity for Pu-erh and about 65% humidity for Pu-erh, because Pu-erh doesn't need that much in order to settle down. And you want to get rid of this initial muskiness that Pu-erh gets during the Woad stage. So basically the humidity levels should be somewhere between 65 to 70, and the temperature should be around 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty much room temperature. So room temperature is okay, but humidity levels are important. If you want to set your humidity higher than 70%, by all means, you should do it, and it will speed up the aging. However, you should be very watchful, and you should be checking up on your tea frequently to make sure that it does not get moldy. And given that you don't mind a little bit of muskiness and dampness in the tea, so optimal level still should be, I would say, around 70 degrees. And if your tea is subjected to lower temperatures and low humidity, it will just slow down the microbial and other activities in the tea, and basically it will just stop aging and maybe even deteriorate in taste a little. So another important factor is that you should be aware of and watch out for is temperature drops. You don't want the temperature dropping between day or night, or if you living home, you turning off heater, and you when coming back home, you turning up the heater. These are not the ideal conditions. You want to keep this room temperature at about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So the best conditions for aging Pu-erh tea at home is to buy a bin, like a food grade plastic bin, and put humidity pack in it, and put a little digital hydrometer, or not digital, and just monitor to make sure that humidity level is around 65 to 70%, and that your room temperature is more or less consistent around 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep the tea away from direct sunlight. It's best to put the tea in a Ziploc bag with aluminum foil inside. That will keep the microenvironment pretty stable. Keep the original paper wrapper on, and you can take the tea out from time to time, not too often, like 1-2 times a year will be sufficient, just for a couple of minutes, to give it a little bit fresh air, and then put it back into the Ziploc bag and cover the bin. If you wish to drink this tea from time to time, go ahead, break off a piece. I would recommend keeping a journal where you're writing down your impressions of the taste. So a year later, when you're back to tasting it again, you can compare your notes and see how your tea changed, because relying on memory is not the most reliable source of information. Before brewing this tea, I would recommend giving it like half an hour to an hour to rest a little bit from the storage, and then you would probably get better results. So these processes that I described at the beginning of the reel of aging, they're slow processes. Don't expect big changes over a short period of time. These are very gradual processes for Shen Pu-erh to become heicha, to become dark tea, to fully develop, so to say, to age significantly. It requires decades, like 20, 25, 30 years is the normal process for these teas. But even year to year, you should be able to notice some changes in tea. So I hope that it was helpful, and enjoy aging your own Pu-erh at home. Cheers.